This is WAEC June 2019 General Mathematics Paper 2, and we are answering question number 10, and the question reads, a woman bought 130 kilograms of tomatoes for 52,000 naira. She sold half of those tomatoes at a profit of 30%. The rest of the tomatoes began to go bad. She then reduces the selling price per kg by 12%. The question asked is number A, the new selling price, that is after the reduction of this 12%. And the question number B, we are to find the percentage profit on the entire sales if she threw away 5 kilograms of bad ones. So let's attempt to answer this very question. Solution to the problem. So what you do first is to get the cost per kg of tomatoes, the cost price per kg of tomatoes. The total price of this 130 kg is 52,000. So the cost price per kg of tomato will now be the total cost divided by total kg. So 52,000 divided by 130, that gives answer 400 naira. This will now be the cost price per 1 kg of tomato to the woman. So next is to get the selling price. The selling price, that is the original selling price that contains this 30% profit. So the selling price will now be the cost price, which is 400, plus 30% of the cost price. This gives the profit. So when you add the profit to the cost price, it will give you the selling price. 30 over 100 multiplied by 400, add the result to 400, you now have 520 naira. This will now be the selling price at a profit of 30%. So the new selling price is what we will now find next. New selling price, there is a discount or reduction of 12% because some of the tomatoes begin to go bad. So it's 12% reduction on this selling price, 520. So new selling price will now be the original selling price minus 12% of the original selling price. So 12 over 100 multiplied by 520. Subtract the result from this 520. You now have 457 naira 60 kobo. This will now be the new selling price per kg of the tomato. So with this, I have answered question number A. So what remains is question number B, that we asked to find the percentage profit on the entire sale. So you have to get the total sale. Then when you get the total sales, you now get the total profit. Then you can now find the percentage profit. So let's start with the total sale. So total sale, the woman was able to sell half of those tomatoes at this 30% profit. That is at 520 naira per kg. You now have 520. The selling price at a 30% profit multiplied by 65. That is half of those 130 kg. Plus the new selling price multiplied by 60. Actually, the remaining kg will be 65, but she threw away 5 kg of them. So that makes it 60 remaining. So it's 60 kg that she was able to sell at this new price. So multiplying 520 by 65 and 457.60 by 60, you now have 33,800 plus 27,456. And adding these two results correctly, you have 61,256 naira. This will now be the total sale. So let's get the total profit. This is the amount she purchased all the tomatoes, 52,000. So we'll now subtract the cost price from the total sales. It will give us the profit she realized after sales. So 61,256 minus 52,000. This subtraction, if done correctly, you have 9,256. This will now be the profit she realized after selling all the tomatoes. So there we can get the percentage profit. So percentage profit will now be equals to the profit divided by the cost price multiplied by 100%. So you have the profit 9256 divided by the cost price 52,000 multiplied by 100%. If this division and multiplications are done correctly, you now have the result 17.8%. This is the percentage profit, and that answered all the two questions. So let me just share with you quickly the mark distribution for this very question as it is there in the marking scheme. So the very first mark is bonus one mark, and this bonus one mark is for getting the cost price per kg of tomato as 400 naira. You have this bonus one mark. Next mark is attempting to get the selling price at a profit of 30%. Substituting in this very formula, you have this method one mark. And when you now have the selling price per kg as 520 naira, you have this accuracy one mark. Next mark is method one mark. With this method one mark, in attempted to find the new selling price where you have the original selling price minus the discount. If you substituted correctly, you have this method one mark. And when you now have the new selling price as 457.60 kobo, you have this accuracy one mark. Next mark is attempting to get the total sales of 65 tomatoes at 520 each. You have this method one mark by just this multiplication. And when you now have the multiplication correctly, you have 33,800. You have this accuracy one mark. You have this bonus one mark when you now have the total sales of 60 tomatoes at the new selling price for 57.60 kobo. You have this bonus one mark. And when you now add the two results and you have the total sales as 61,256, you have bonus one mark. And when you now have the total profit as 9,256 correctly, you have this bonus one mark. And when you now substitute in attempt to find the percentage profit, that is the profit over the cost multiplied by 100%. If your substitution is correct, you have this method one mark. And finally, if you have the percentage profit as 17.8% correctly, you have this accuracy one mark. So in total, this question has 12 good marks.